Hey, boy.
Evil knows no boundaries. Killzone Liberation. Rated T for teen. PSP.
So I'm here with my girlfriend Kim and Brian, and we're gonna get our Wii's. The line's pretty long, and the sad thing is that a whole nother group of our, co-workers, we're gonna go out tomorrow morning and stand in line at a Target to try to get Wii's.
Poor Lukeums.
Luke was gonna do it, man. He was gonna crack. All that Zelda on GameCube thing, nah, he was gonna play it on the Wii. Not anymore. He's gonna have to wait.
Even poor Mark McDonald got it shut out.
I know, Mark, Legend of Zelda,
Yeah,
Link,
the
Master Sword,
yeah,
McDonald. I'm sorry, I'm not sorry.
Actually, no, I'm not.
You should have woken up like you did with the PS3. Earlier.
Right.
Got your Wii.
Got my Wii.
Nice. As you can see, the energy is high. People want their Wii. If they're not buying Zelda, I don't know why they want, but fuck, dude, Zelda.
It definitely wasn't like this when I picked up my PS3.
No, there was no
It was
fanfare.
very anticlimactic.
Yes. God, just let me inside. Ugh. I want my Wii.
They're like, we don't have
I want
it
my
anymore.
Zelda playing device. Ryan and Brian. Thanks, sir.
Hey, I don't wanna go to work today. Wanna stay home and play all my video games on the One Up Show. You know you'll be a star on the One Up Show. You already are. Every day, this life's a holiday. One up, 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 one up on the One Up Show. One up, 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 one up on the One Up Show.
Well, I think everyone has read the 1UP review since it's on the site, and that's the same as my EGM review, which was a 10. And that is notably the first 10 I've ever given any video game in the time that I've been working here. And I actually kind of surprised myself with that score, because when I first started playing the game, the first 8-10 hours didn't really impress me that much. It kind of felt like Ocarina of Time Redux.
Right.
But the more I played it, the more things changed, the more different it became. And the more I realized that I really liked the game. And by the end of it, even though I was pushing hard to finish the game in 4 days, I wanted to play more. I wanted to play it again.
The only part of the game that I wasn't totally thrilled with, and I'm thrilled with the game overall, but that first six hours is such a grind.
They really...
I don't know if it was a grind. Yeah, I definitely disagree. A lot of people who have played the game say they don't like the tutorial, they don't like the beginning, and the tutorial's a little slow, but it's very well crafted. It's made in a way to teach you the control and also to make you feel like you're figuring these things out and make you feel like you're very clever and just getting you into the world of Zelda.
The tutorial part especially, once I beat the game, if I want to go back and beat the game, I want the option to kind of skip it.
You can actually go through it very quickly. Once you know the way the web of little puzzles works in the first town, you can actually go through it very quickly. One of my arguments has been that this is the best paced game I've played in years, and part of that is the first 2 hours are a little slow because the game really is 60 hours long. And when you think about it in those terms, the fact that it starts a little slowly, ramps up, it's actually good. If you went from 0 to 60 and that's not going to happen. It has to teach you. You have to gradually get there. And when you start playing the game, it'll surprise you because you'll be doing one thing for 2 hours. You'll be just Link. and then you'll play as the wolf.
Yeah.
And then you'll do like a mini game, and then you'll do like a vehicle segment, or then you'll do like it's always throwing something new at you, something unexpected. You never know what's going to happen next in that game. That's what kept me like enthralled.
Exactly. You get this sense where like almost anything can happen as you're playing the game because it almost doesn't really fall into the mold of mini games. Like the mini games are so well integrated into the game itself. It just feels like, you know, this is something you can do in this world.
Right. We both talked about there's like a mission where you're like protecting something. You're like, and it happens on the field, and like there's never been that in a Zelda before, and it's really fun. It's longer than you would think. It's harder. There's a boss you do during that.
Right.
Yeah, it totally blew my expectations away.
And just the new toys too, like the we call it the dreidel of death. That crazy skateboard thing that you ride at one point. That's
so
it's
fun.
like
It's pretty useless, but it's
really
totally
fun.
different for anything that you've ever seen in Zelda. It's not the kind of weapon or accessory, or I don't even know what you call it, that you'd expect to find
a
in
dreidel
game.
of death.
Yeah, okay, it's a dreidel. But
Yeah.
it's nice that it does work outside the dungeon. Sometimes you get stuff and you use it in the dungeon and then you forget about it. But you know, you'll be running around Hyrule Field and all of a sudden you'll be like, oh wait a minute, I recognize those grooves on the wall here. So you start running around canyons, dreidling your way to secrets.
After the prologue was over, once I was into the dungeons, like I knew right away. I was like, wow, this really does make me feel the way Ocarina of Time did. And like I also really liked the Wind Waker, but it was a very different game, and it never really connected the same way that Ocarina did. In this game, like I knew that this is Ocarina all over again, but new and more evolved. It's more surprising. The storytelling is better. It just like it's everything you want. Everything you would ever want from a Zelda game is here. Like there's nothing. I can't think of anything that's not in this game that I want out of a Zelda game.
How about graphics? How about
See
like,
that's the one place you can
the
go.
look.
You can
Yeah.
go. You can go with the graphics, and I can say, yeah, there are times when like the textures aren't the best, or like the low polygon like walls or trees.
They look like shit.
Well, I would say like they.
I'm sorry, there are moments where the walls
Are you talking
literally look like feces.
You gotta look past it because overall the areas do look good, and some of the dungeons look really
The
good.
thing is, yeah, and also like, I just feel like the design choices made in Wind Waker or like Okami, where they make these stylized artistic decisions because they're making this game for an underpowered system, and that's what the Wii is. It's underpowered, okay? And I feel like that is a smarter choice to make with a game like this, and they do some amazing things, and that's what makes me kind of just so much more irritated. And people are so sick of people bitching about the graphics on the Wii, but I mean, you look at these villages and like no house is the same.
Right.
Like they really took so much care with it.
Yeah, the artistry
but they have
is there.
this. The Twilight Princess side of things, when you turn into a wolf,
Oh, the Twilight,
I think that looks amazing.
Well, in the Twilight world itself, the lighting
Twilight
effects,
world,
the blur effects
the
look really
sunsets,
good.
there are so many moments where
Yeah.
the game just like totally makes me, my jaw literally drops.
I think people who really liked Wind Waker's visual style, like they seem to be people who are a little more unhappy with the way this looks, because I think it looks fine.
Because that style plays to this underpowered system. And most people are going to be playing in standard def. You can't, I mean, we've been trying to get component cables for the Wii, and they are really hard to find right now.
See, I think a dungeon like Death Mountain, when you go there and it's like lava, and it actually looks pretty damn good. To me, it looks good, and it's very realistic. And if that was done using cartoony graphics, it wouldn't be as effective. It wouldn't look like, wow, Link's really like in this like Lord of the Rings looking place with lava and cages and danger. Like it looked kind of real to me, and I actually bought it. Like that dungeon, like
But
looked
imagine
good.
how much better it would look like on the 360.
Well, yeah,
like a
but
360 level
it's
system.
not. And like, there's a point at which when are we going to stop saying, well, I wish this was the PlayStation 3, and I wish this was the Xbox 3.
In 5 years, we're really going to be saying that.
5 years, I'm gonna be saying it in a year from now. I say it right now.
Yeah.
Because I want those graphics to come to Zelda. Like that's the only way this could have improved for me. And I do feel kind of gypped by the Wii just because
Right. Well, and I agree. Like, if there's anything I could fix about this game, yeah, I would love the graphics to look as good as, you know, Final Fantasy 13 or Gears of War, but they don't. And I'm not gonna. I can't count it down for that because the
I don't-
experience I'm having is so
yeah.
pure, so perfectly designed. It makes every other game I've reviewed in the last 3 years seem lazy. Like, it makes the game design of every other game you ever played almost seem lazy. Like, everything is so well thought out. Everything is here for a reason. Everything they teach you, you need to use again and evolve on. Like, I'm constantly amazed by the depth of the design in this game.
I fully agree with you. That's what drives home my anger at the Wii itself.
When you don't look at a smeary texture on a wall, when you just take the overall effect of the graphics, I think the artistry is what really drives it over and above everything else. When you stand, they're not
I
big
feel
though.
like
They're
they-
really not big.
I think
It's
in the
like,
cutscene,
oh, the ground is kind of blurry.
Actually, for me, it's the cutscenes a little bit. Like the cutscenes are points where instead of being dramatic and interesting, I am kind of laughing at it a little bit, and like they're reaching for things they can't quite handle with giving the system's graphics, and
Right.
yeah, those bits are a little for me. But the
Overall,
I actually haven't seen a game on 360 that I think makes effective use of the high definition graphics. Like you see games like Dead Rising, Gears of War, they're very detailed, there's a lot going on. They've really put a lot of effort into the graphics, but you still got that uncanny valley thing going on where everything looks kind of puppet-like and it's all awkward. At Gears of War, everyone looks like they're made of a big gray tree trunk with veins. That's just not appealing visually. I would much rather have something that's a little lower resolution, maybe has some kind of crappy texture graphics, but overall just fits together and works organically.
It sounds
And
like-
Twilight Princess really does. Also, I'm not really big on the color gray, so Gears, not so good
I mean,
for
another
me.
defense for the graphics, I think, is the scale and volume of graphics in this game.
Yeah.
Like the amount of places you go, the worlds they had to create, the assets they had to make. Compare this game to Cameo. It's literally like 100 times the content of Cameo.
Yeah,
Seriously.
I fully agree.
Seriously.
When you're running along a field, we were talking about this the other day, and you can see like the glitter of creatures'
Yeah, the
little
draw
eyes.
distance is amazing.
The draw
You can see
distance is
all the way
amazing.
across Hyrule Field, and you can fire an arrow all the way across Hyrule Field and hit something, and that's awesome. Like, I love the fact that you can run around and you see things differently at a distance. When you're in the wolf mode and you switch to the senses, everything becomes dark,
Right.
but then it becomes easier to see the glints of like golden insects or a heart container, you know, a quarter of a mile away. And so,
These eyes are better.
right, exactly. So, you know, then it kind of helps you home in on those things that you really want to find, and
You know,
it's
something
just very
that people aren't
rewarding.
really talking about. You know, the music I think is really good in this game. There isn't a lot of it at times, and it's kind of atmospheric, comes in and comes out. But sometimes you're fighting a boss or a dungeon, you'll notice, oh man, this music's really good, and not what you'd expect from Zelda. Like some of it is recycled tunes, but some of it's very different. Story, we're not going to spoil much, but it is darker and it's more serious, and it's not necessarily what you'd expect, but it's not like overbearing. It's not like they made this like emo Zelda game either. It's a good balance of what people want, I think.
And
I
there's
think it's leavened a lot by the continued involvement of all the characters from the Ordona Forest. Like, you know, you have Ilia, you have the other little kids, and they remain involved in the adventure throughout its entire duration. Like, there's always something that kind of revolves around them, and it doesn't seem like it's, you know, it doesn't never seem like a distraction from the main quest. It seems like something that sort of enriches the overall experience because it gives you a better sense of where Link is from.
my favorite part of Zelda is always the puzzles. My personal favorite part, but this time some of them were really, really hard.
I was actually telling
You haven't even made it to the Sky Dungeon yet. I spent an hour on one puzzle in the Sky Dungeon because there was one little thing I couldn't find, and I was running back and forth all over the place. Some of the puzzles are just super obtuse.
Mhm.
The puzzles are awesome, and what surprised me, there was like these puzzle boss encounters where it's just like one puzzle, you gotta figure it out right now, or you're going to die. And you probably are going to die a few times until you figure out what it is you're supposed to do. I thought those were really creative, unexpected, a new way to present these puzzles to you in a Zelda game. And to talk about the bosses, the mini bosses are like above and beyond the Call of Duty. Like several times, the mini boss of a dungeon would easily have been good enough to be a boss of a dungeon.
Yeah,
Or
like the ball and chain guy.
Yeah.
yeah.
There's bosses, like bosses and mini bosses in this game. You just do not have encounters like this in other games. It's just like so unique to the series, and it's, you know, I'm sure that factored into why we all gave it the scores that we gave it.
Right.
So do you think this game is worth buying a Wii for, or can you just wait and get the GameCube version?
You know, I was originally thinking that I would be happiest with the GameCube version, but playing the game in widescreen makes a big difference. And not only that, but I love the controls. I didn't think I would. I thought I would totally hate having to go like this to hit stuff and having to go like this to aim the arrows, but no. Like the controls, the aiming controls are so accurate. They're just, you know, a mile above anything that you've played in a Zelda before. And despite myself, despite wanting to be like the guy who sits back and plays very calm and cool and collected, I found myself, you know, up against bosses, slamming my sword as hard as I possibly could to get in as many hits as possible before it recovered and started
I found myself like yesterday I was fighting the boss where you jump on its back and like stabbing the eye, and when like that's like the second part of that boss, and when I actually did it, I found myself like really into it. I was like making an ass of myself, like fucking like you're gonna die. And I was like, what am I doing? I was like, this like it works. This like, the controls actually work. And just like moving around the world and the camera, and you get so used to it after a few hours. I think right now, if we picked up a GameCube controller, it would feel weird to us and be like, "This isn't how you play Zelda anymore." Like seriously.
No. Some of the things that make so much sense on the Wii version make me not want to play the GameCube. Like being able to do a spin attack just by going like that. That's so much better than charging up or doing some sort of weird controller motion. All of a sudden, the spin attack becomes an integral part of my combat repertoire. It's not something that I've done in other games. Like in the past few Zeldas, I haven't really used it because it leaves you vulnerable for so long. But here, you know,
it's crucial.
You come up against 12 enemies at once, and they're all swarming you, so you really have to do that. You have to be able to pull off one of those things really fast.
And eventually, by the end of the game, it is by far the best combat Zelda's ever had, and the best combat that any action-adventure game has ever had.
The final dungeon has some just standard enemies who really, really make full use of your sword skills.
There are times when I'll just be fighting an enemy in a dungeon, and like it'll be a really great encounter, a lot of exciting things happen, like it defends in ways that I don't expect, or I'm doing my shield push, and it all looks perfect, it's fun to play, it just all comes together. I'm like, wow, Zelda does this better than any other game. It really does. Like, it's hard to even like explain what's so perfect about that combat and about those battles, but they are.
You asked if it's a reason to buy a Wii. I think it absolutely is a reason to buy a system. I was not going to buy a Wii.
It's the only reason to buy a Wii.
And that is why I'm going to buy it. Like Ryan said, it's the only reason.
Really, just playing Zelda, it reminds me the most of Ocarina of Time from 8 years ago. Like on Thanksgiving weekend, when we all got it, and you sit down with it, and you just know like this can occupy your mind, your thoughts, your whole like life for a good week of solid playing. And the whole time I'm playing Zelda, other games have come. I'm like, you guys have fun with your Gears, your Resistance, whatever. I've got Zelda. It's all I care about. It's all you're gonna care about when you get it. It's that good. Everyone should play it.
So what are you giving it?
A 10.
10.
I'm giving it a 10.10.
10.10.
Wow.
It's an 11.
It goes to 11.
I feel sorry for people who come away who actually play through this game and come away like not that impressed or thinking, oh, it's okay. Like seriously, I don't know what you're expecting.
Those people are Satan.
What kind of life you lead? This can't move you in the way it moved us. I'm sorry for you.
I am really amazed at negative responses. I mean, I understand the beginning is kind of slow, but I am someone who didn't really enjoy Ocarina that much. Like about 10 hours in, I just was bored out of my mind. I just couldn't stay interested in it, and I really expected more of the same from this, but no. Like playing this, the more I played, like I said, the more I loved it. And you know, by the time I got past the 6th dungeon, I was just convinced that it's really one of the best games that I've had my hands on, and as long as I can remember.
I love Shadow of the Colossus, and I think it's a good game. But compared to this, it seems like a demo or like a fan project or something where like they could have done all of this but chose to only do a few little pieces. Zelda does everything. Anything you think could happen in that world does happen, and they didn't like back off. They didn't cut it back. It's all there.
Yeah.
What happens when Nintendo's A-team has time to make the game as good as they possibly can? It's Twilight Princess.
I have no problem saying that it's my game of the year. Absolutely. I loved Oblivion. I loved Gears of War. I've loved a lot of games this year, and Twilight Princess has absolutely surpassed it. And like with my complaints about the graphics,
Right.
because I agree with you. I don't think it's fair to knock it down because the Wii itself is underpowered. It can't do better. And I can argue personally, I would have liked something more stylized, something along the lines of Okami or Wind Waker. I think that would have looked better. I would have enjoyed it more. But that is such like a personal thing. Like it's hard to mark down the whole game, which I enjoyed on the whole so much. Every time we'd get stuck somewhere. Like I'd go, like, you know, Crispin was right there, and I'd be like, I can't figure out how to get this switch flip.
You always
and it would
have
just,
always have everything you need in Zelda. What surprises me is like you'll get stuck all the time because the puzzles are hard. But you always have everything you need
Right.
in the room, in your inventory. It's just a matter of you actually figuring it out, and it's brilliant. I mean, this game constantly outdoes itself and outdoes your expectations. I'm almost worried if they do try to better the next Zelda and make another Zelda like this that's even better. It's like, wow, good luck with that. 'Cause
Yeah.
They've kind of made the ultimate redo of the 3D Zelda idea.
Yeah.
I totally love the game and everything, like even the visuals, it all works for me. I think that they've done an amazing job of just tying everything together and creating a complete package that really satisfies on every level.
So you sure Zelda's good? You sure it's good? I haven't heard about this game yet. You sure it's good? Is this good?
I guarantee it.
Fuck yeah, bitches. That's all I got. I'm not doing anything except for playing Zelda all weekend long, then all next holiday. So, are you happy about this?
Happy if you're happy. Zelda is pretty awesome. I can't wait to see it.